One of the editors of the College Fix, Jenn Kabbany, is joining us. Jen, did I say your last name right?
You did. You nailed it.
Okay, good. Jen, tell me the story about these online group chats involving college kids referring to white people as maggots and vermin. This is happening at universities around open dialogue between the colleges.
So essentially, this was a group me chat among Black students, primarily at Auburn University, but there were other students at other universities involved. And it was a list of their favorite slurs against white people. As you mentioned, maggots, vermin, and roaches was among the list. There was also default color, walking ranch, pale face, drywall, plaster people, walking napkins, and so on and so forth. It's quite a long and extensive list.
Yeah, okay. It's an interesting. Some of these I never heard of before. Snow roaches, mutated vermin, yeast maggots. I didn't know there were so many terms for white people. Now, it doesn't sound like they broke a law, right? Because we have a First Amendment protection. The First Amendment protects hate speech. It protects controversial speech. That's the whole point of it. But it does kind of sound like if a group of white kids at Auburn University or Austin, Texas, or any major university around the South were gathered together in a group chat coming up with funny terms for Black people, that the university might get involved.
Oh, they might be suspended or expelled if this was the other way around. But as you mentioned with the woke ideologies, we're told by the critical race theory narrative that Black people cannot be racist due to past discrimination. So I think while this is absolutely is constitutional, they can say and call us whatever they want, but it shows that racism is a two-way street.
Yeah, racism is a disgusting, horrible, awful thing. And back in early 2017, my friend Dave in Chicago, Illinois, had a little brother. He's still alive, who had autism and some other mental health issues, was kidnapped by a group of Black Lives Matter activists, tortured him on a Facebook Live video in revenge for white America electing Trump. So yeah, anti-white racism certainly exists. And it feels like the only people trying to suggest otherwise are racists.
Professors, yeah, and professors too. I mean, they're like you said, these ideas are born and bred on college campuses, and then they make it to the mainstream. So the idea that Black people can't be racist is rooted in critical race theory, in which, again, because of past discrimination, therefore they cannot be racist today.
Okay, so bottom line me on this one. How did you guys find out about it? And that's it? The university's not doing anything about it?
They're looking into it. They're investigating it. But again, that's the beauty of the First Amendment of the Constitution. You can actually say whatever you want, and even if it's hurt somebody's feelings, that's constitutionally protected free speech. However, the university is looking into it under the Office of Affirmative Action and Equal Employment Office at Auburn. So they're questioning whether it rises to the level of harassment or discrimination. So that's the angle they're taking.
Can't wait to see how they handle this, because that'll be the precedent for similar cases moving forward. Hey, we covered another one of the stories here on KPRC Radio that you guys reported on. The University of Connecticut. We talked about this before, but I would just love to get your take on it, Jen. A comedian who performed at the University of Connecticut last fall was reported to the school's bias response team for making a joke about someone's identity. Now, Jerry Seinfeld has already said he won't do stand-up comedy at college campuses because it's such a politically heated environment to be in. People are real touchy and stuff like that. But what's the University of Connecticut doing about this? And what exactly is a school bias response team? Is that a thing that exists? I never heard of that.
So bias response teams are located at colleges and universities across the nation, and essentially they're glorified tattle-telling systems where a student can report even anonymously on another student that hurt their feelings or said something mean or bothered them in some way. And the College Fix has been filing Freedom of Information Act requests to get copies of these bias response team reports. And they're as ridiculous as you might imagine, like, oh, somebody, said this, or somebody looked at me funny, or what have you. And college comedians, of course, are facing the same kind of thing where literally their whole gig, their whole bit is probably going to be making fun of people. So I don't even know how they survive on college campuses with these bias response teams. But somebody was offended by a joke and ran to the administrator to tattle.
Dude, I don't even get it. We host stand-up comedy shows in Houston for young conservative audiences to raise money for Wheelchairs for Warriors, a really awesome a really awesome cause. And one of the experiences we've had here in a city like Houston, very liberal, progressive city with a lot of universities at Rice University, University of Houston, Texas Southern University, a lot of college life going on in the city, a lot of liberalism happening in the city, is that there is a need. There is a need right now for stand-up comedy that is not woke. Wokeism and comedy do not correlate together. It's water and oil. You can't do stand-up comedy if you're worried about offending everybody. At some point, there's always been this belief that the left has a monopoly on comedy. But when you look at the #1 rated late-night comedy show right now, Greg Gutfeld on Fox News, there really appears to be a cultural shift happening in America. And I think it's exemplified by what we're seeing in college stand-up comedy shows. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Look, comedy in its bare essence is poking fun at people and things and observations. That's what comedy is. So if you can't poke fun at yourself, you're taking yourself way too seriously. But we've seen cancel culture sort of destroy comedy, and that's why Dave Chappelle has been so popular with his pushing back on this concept that we can't make fun of people or we can't say what we want to say in a funny way. And so I think hopefully the tide is turning and comedians are getting braver. But yeah, I don't see how progressivism and comedy mix, because there'd be no jokes to tell.
Yeah, you nailed it. Isn't it interesting? Dave Chappelle is a pot-smoking, Black Lives Matter supporting left-wing comic who's been embraced by the right, just like Elon Musk, the world's most famous climate change activist. Now is right-wing people love him. How did that happen?
You know what's interesting is this woke progressive cancel culture ideology has made strange bedfellows. To borrow a phrase, I hate to do it, from Kamala Harris, but the Venn diagram of, conservatives and sort of, these classical liberals who still believe in free speech overlap. We have some things in common with libertarians and classical liberals who still believe in constitutional principles.
I love that. That is the voice of the editor, one of the editors of the College Fix. A fantastic journalist. That is Jenn Kabbany. And I encourage you guys to follow her on Twitter. In fact, if you go look at my Twitter account right now, you will find a link to her page. Or, if you're not on Twitter, just go to thecollegefix.com. It's worth your time. Even if you don't have kids in colleges, I bet your money goes to these universities. I bet you'd like to see what they're doing with your money. Thecollegefix.com, a right-wing news outlet that's giving accurate reporting from our universities around the nation. Something that we need right now.